Hello, I am your happy healer, Keith Landy, running for president. Today is September 14th, 2019. It's a great day. It's unfortunate that we're going to go over a bit of a more somber topic today. And every so often it's important that we just cover these different things that are part of our human experience. And they help provide the clues we need, which are the answers. They lead to those answers. They're just as real as being those answers. We need those clues, and so we have to pay attention. And that is going back to the earlier show about being able to go into the deep. And we talk about that, being able to go into the deep. And there's a reason for that. And so we cover current events and we talk about what's important and what's going on so that we can really digress the situation, dissect it, take it apart for what it is, by an unbiased truth. We search for the truth. And when we find it, we serve to it with love. And we remember every soul matters. It's the truth. And we have to think like that if we're to ever get beyond the problems that we're currently dealing with. And that's taking it from an unbiased broker of truth, and you know how true it is, because I am serious about that. I know how serious it is. We all need to be about that. That is our salvation. Should we get that wrong, we'll pay for it in ways we never intended. And should we get it right, we get to reap the benefits of love and action right here on earth in this life. Opposed to what some say, they think that that's not possible. They think that the only way to be able to have a life here is to appease to greed and to say that if you want something, you have to force it and you have to make it happen. And so we're going to talk about what that leads to, and every time we're going to use real world examples. We're going to break this thing down. We're going to show it for what it is, the greedy bastard that it is. And it's in each of us. So let's just be humble about that truth. And let's be loving. Let's look for the better in each other. Search for that. Search for it in each one of us. Search for it in yourself first. It's a beautiful thing. So good day, my fellow Americans. My name is Keith Landy, your happy healer for President of the United States of America. Today's date is September 14th, 2019, which is all the shocking considering just how fast time is flying. Yet, our dangers are getting closer and people are getting less patient and more obscene and borderline insane. The difference is between sanity and insanity is the ability to, or not to, rationalize, to withstand impulse. That is exactly the very reasons greed is doing so well in these times. It does not have to be that way. I contend, my fellow Americans, my fellow seekers of salvation and happiness, a life worth living is a life by all means necessary. We make the sacrifices to be happy, and that we have to make sure that that kind of life is exposed. So please, I beg you, O powerful one, we stand humble in order of your holiness to grant us the power of love invested in us by our Almighty Creator, God in the heavens above, maker and ruler of time and all the elements, spiritual and material, that love together with truth is our recipe for wearing our armor of God and living in that honest broker of truth, hoping for a reasonable, well and translated happy life, saving, and it's pulsating with creativity, and coming out of that is life, and out of that is love, and that is the great dream of self-determination itself, is to be happy and to see all of its parts, experiencing love and joy. Instead, however, it's not going down that way because of nefarious and suspicious means and malicious, intentful in its manipulation and its thievery. That greed, the idea that would swoop in prematurely and that it would have a conspiracy of corruption. That is what greed is. It's the birth of corruption itself, and it's taking away from the people, from our very self-determination. The people are literally allowing themselves to be taken away with lust, and it's making us all pay in ways we have never been designed that way to do or to be that way. And that's why we have to make so many concessions. And love is great, but only to the extent that it can stay and take care of all. It right now has been under assault due to our past of being of barbarian days. We are now of new means and technology. We better have our new age of enlightenment soon, or this dark ages perhaps may find us first. We only see how true it is in the topic of this speech and session, and it's doled out by your happy healer for president. Come. It's so sad to consider that LGBTQ people are under attack in the United States of America, and we can't deny in the dead honest evidence, and that is that we all matter and we all have our own stories to share. Let us learn about this story next that touched my heart. A black transgender woman was torched in her car, and this is warned by the LGBT rights, the Independent magazine. And on a dark September 4th morning in a Florida neighborhood, there were single-story houses painted bright green, turquoise, and pink. And there was a PT Cruiser parked in the grass. When the Hendry County sheriffs doused the flames, they found a woman's body so badly burned she couldn't be identified for days. Now, Beloved Slater was a black transgender, a 23-year-old from South Florida. She was murdered. Investigators have not announced any leads, and that's what they told the reporters, and they couldn't decide whether this grisly homicide was a hate crime. And they said that we can't say that it's a hate crime because we don't know what the motive is in this case, as the sheriff's office told ABC7 in this case. But advocates say Slater was the latest victim in the latest trend of transgender victims spiking in the United States, particularly in Florida, where the hate crime statute does not include the gender identity. Our society needs to work to realize that transgenders people can live without fear. And this is proven through Slater's death. Slater's body was found at the end of Harlem, Florida, the end of a community 65 miles west of Palm Beach. Slater lived about 32 miles away in the southern bend of Lake Okeechobee in Florida, an economically depressed town in Florida. Her friends say Slater transitioned her gender earlier this year, only to save money to move to Atlanta, where she believed people would be more accepting of her transgender identity. She always had a smile on her face, and her Trent Besman calls herself her gay mother, told the Miami Herald. She always waves gay hugs and kisses and told you that she loved you. But more recently, she began posting on Facebook that she's gotten harassing messages that scared her, a friend told Gout magazine. She reportedly texted a friend that she wanted to leave town the night that she died. She posted messages saying that she felt as though people were after her to attack her, and she had conversations with one of her best friends the day she was murdered, saying she wanted to leave the city, and her friend Taurus Williams told Gout she was willing to sleep in her car until she found a job and things of that nature. Also, recently we had transgender women and gay men dragged from bars in Los Angeles, so we can't pretend this stuff is not happening, but at the same point, we're appealing to the worst in all humanity. Not all people are prone to being bigoted. The general irritation point, or that at which all people snap, has become a threshold commonly met by more and more Americans in a race to insanity, while some of us are doing as much as we can to stop that. It would be nice to have the public awake, realizing what dangers are right there, just to recognize the unbiased truth. Once that can be easily explained and might for all of its detail in one simple truth based on the contour and geography in the principal state of matter in which it exists, the primal essence of truth is under attack in our country, and we must be sure to be clear to our intent, but also to protect and defend the freedom of speech. A problem which is just a subsequent nature, more due to our civil war and our impending homebred American terrorism, which will be far worse than outside terrorism, and it's growing in scale. So we must be aware of things that we're doing. It's agitating our people, and when you confuse people, that is exactly what you get. And people are upset that they have been living in a lie. And they easily accept that which allows them the peace of mind instead of dealing with cold, hard facts that have long given way to that which makes us feel good. But its good feelings long ago worn off. And now all that's left is the damage that it caused. So far, the sheriff's office says that there is no evidence about the cause of her death, in part because her car was scorched to its metal frame. So far, the sheriff's office says that there is no evidence for the cause of her death, in part because, think, that car was scorched to its metal frame. Meanwhile, we have transgender rights activists demanding justice. How can someone go to that extreme to get rid of her? Her friend cannot wait, told Wink News. I just want justice for her. At least 18 transgender people have been murdered in the United States this year, according to Human Rights Campaign advocates who track the homicide rates. Last year they counted 26 murders, including 5 in Florida, the highest of any state. Florida's hate crime statute allows prosecutors to achieve stiffer penalties when it's about someone's race, religion, ethnicity, ancestry, sexual orientation, or national orientation. All these things, including transgender identity, is not protected under the state law. Advocates say that the limitations can leave the transgender people vulnerable to more violence, and these victims are not numbers. They're people with hopes and plans and dreams for the future, loved ones and communities who will miss them every day. And this human rights campaign and the LGBT advocacy group, the anti-transgender stigma, is exasperated by the disrespectful media and law enforcement and our highest elected officials. On September 6th today, Miss Slater was identified by the medical examiner. Friends and supporters dressed in pink and gathered on the grounds of an apartment complex in Hoboken. They lit candles arranged to spell out, "We love." They sang together with candles shaped like stars and hearts. And they took turns telling stories of Miss Slater and remembering her life. And they just let go of the balloons as they floated away into the night sky. And I'm here and I'm going to speak and do whatever I have to do, Mr. Vereen said. Her name is going to live on. This story reminds me of Matthew Shepard's story and many other people who experienced hate crimes and hate in general. Hate is of the devil and can make the human being capable of some very scary things. You wouldn't recognize the people you once thought you knew when that happens, and that you know it's true. What do you do then? Because that is the time when it may be too late. Why do I say that? Because it's the simple, smart, and decent way that good people are worried. They sound that alarm. It's not because they're conspiracy theorists or because they love to see America in a civil war. They realize they're fed over and over again in the ways that they're intended, whether true or not, to inspire the insanity, discontent, and unrest in our country. It's working all too well. These nefarious forces are behind much of the stuff we would use to describe the problems that are instigating the fighting and the disunity. The disparity between parties is not normal. This is obscene. Trump himself is somebody who thrives in chaos and invites it. And that is not the average person who pays the bills and sees the kids off to college while they themselves only ever longed for a peaceful environment to do that and love God and to grow as human beings, pursue passions, learn and to be themselves, discover life and live life. That at the heart of it is exactly what each heart is setting out to do. Why is it then that so many of us fall so incredibly short of that goal? When in fact, if we did love, we would have gotten all of this right from the get-go. Why? Because as I always say it, that's just the way love works. Thank you for watching. And may God bless you and your families. I am your happy healer, Keith Landy, for President of the United States of America. And what I would like to do now is welcome you, if you would like, to call into the show. The phone number here is 407-984-5075. This will be a bit more of just an opportunity to share in the moment so that you can ask me directly what it is that's on your mind. And we can talk about that. I love that. I love that in the moment. I love that feeling you get from just together having a movement that we can share in, that we can feel in, that we can solve problems in, that we can talk about real issues in. I've got my phone and we go over that stuff throughout the day. We learn and see what's going on. We know what we know. We apply it to that which we see. We plan and we resolve. Our resolve is our best tool in the box because it keeps us going every day, working for a life worth living. Thank you. And so if you want to be a part of this program, this movement, the thing to do is to call that number, 407-984-5075. If I answer you, I'm ready to have an interview with you, and it's really just to have an open and honest conversation, and that's available, as you know, at any time if I answer. So that's how we do that. It doesn't even have to be on this live program. We make allowances for that, and I'm always prepared to do this job of media because I realize we have special encounters, and I live a life of media. I live a life of in that spotlight so that way I can get that truth. I have been in too many of those circumstances and paid that ultimate price, all the lies out there, and I don't live my life like that. I serve to the human cause. There are not so many people out there doing that particular thing. And so that when you run into situations and you need people to believe that the person you are is who you are, it takes for media to say that truth. And so I'll tell my own story. And each one of us should. We should all be talking about what we want to do, the kind of lives we want to live, what is important to us in our future, the kind of future we want to have, what that means to us, where we have come from, where we do not want to go back to, where we do want to go to, the fun we want to have. Some people think that this earth is meant for greed, hell, and suffering, and that you just have to accept that until better days. And those better days don't come until after you're dead. And I happen to disagree with that. God is a fair God. And I set a post out today and I said, you know what gets me is not so much that I love God. I know I love God. My heart tells me that, and I love God. But what gets me is that grace, that love, that also powerful conditioning of almighty power of God and light and love from our Creator. That love from Him unto me in my heart, and that I feel that is what gets me. That is my faith. That is what drives me, and that is also powerful in my life and in my stream of consciousness. I am so ever thankful and grateful for that gift, that almighty gift from our Creator. So help me God, I work every day to help each and every soul gain and attain an understanding and a level of living that helps drive their lives onto a life worth living. And that's what we're doing in this campaign. That's right. So today, it's just a Saturday. And I just want to say to my supporters who have been there, those who have been sticking with me, and to my friends, and to everybody who just knows that what we're doing is the right thing. Just passerbys, I know who you are, I remember you. You get it, ultimately. We all get it. We understand the power of this work and the necessity of it. And I appreciate that you understand that. And that you understand the price and the hell there is to pay to serve. For those of you paying attention, you would have seen that I actually had my life threatened also today. That's a new event. It's on the site. Go to www.happyhealerforpresident.com and you too can see about the sacrifice your happy healer makes in order to say these truths, in order to share these truths with you, the people of America, my fellow brothers and sisters, those to whom I care about. I share that truth with vision and passion because I love and I care for each and every one of all of my brothers and sisters. I care, so I will never stop fighting with that flare of love. We all need to be doing exactly that if we care, and we do care, and that care is real care. We know when we are also fit for a job set forth by our Creator, we stand up and get counted in those times. We know the truth is powerful in us when it speaks to our hearts. We know what we have to get done in that moment when nobody else is doing that job. We know that if we don't do it, nobody will. That's when it becomes so clear. So what I'm doing is a courageous thing, and to have to deal with people that are threatening my very life, it's just an honor to be able to do what's right when it's right to do it. To tell the people the truth, no matter who gets that truth. And should it have the ability to grow and to be something special, oh, all how so fitting that would be to add to the American story that is our story. I'm proud to be an American ultimately. We're not perfect, but we evolve. That is part of our story. We evolve. We know how to evolve. And we know that if this change is to ever come to the people, that it must come from the bottom. We know that because this is the pure movement that the people need in order to get the things that we need, in order to solve the problems that we need to solve. And that is what our task is ahead of us. And that is what our hearts need to be dedicated to solving. That task in these times and now and forevermore, to align ourselves together in a great unity of self-determination, to resolve our hearts all at once and forevermore, to resolve these tasks, to have self-determination to do that. To stop that fate of saying, hell no to the hell no, hell yes to the yes. We will survive, we will love, and we will learn, and we will evolve. Thank you. Because that's what we need to do. And anything short of that will mean we're failing to live up to the measure of our time. The time that our children, they look upon us for the answers, and we fail them. Our parents who've long passed, they work so hard, a measure so incapable of the average heartless coward who lives their life with greed today. These were Americans who fought and fought for the dream. They loved their children and they worked hard for the dream. That lie. But we shall atone, because we can deliver, and we can make this nation a better nation, and we can build on the promise that never was, and we can make the differences in our lives by simply empowering the people through love, through the moment, through the ability to empower people through passionate care, increased value in humankind. Think about that. It's an untapped value. We essentially have all but not thought about it. We don't consider it. Greed doesn't allow it. We don't serve to the human need in their balance and their happiness to any degree. It's just not part of the equation. And when we get to putting humanity above capitalism, that is that when we're taking care of humanity, and you know that's exactly what we'll be doing when we're giving each and every American family $5,000 US for a family of 4, that is 2 parents and 2 children, and that is a far cry from the way we're doing things now. It allows people to deal with their humanity and to learn the important lessons, the things that I have learned, the things that I have been for so long dedicated to the task of learning and still continuing to learn. It's just an endeavor that never ends. That's the enlightenment we have to have, and to realize our worth and value to the core of our human essence. When we do that and we change and exchange the value from like how my friends see it now, some of them, and it's dangerous, and yet they say and admit it, that their value is the money in their bank, and that is a travesty. That's the reason why people from Enron, they killed themselves in suicide. The same thing for the Bernie Madoff victims. We need not take that approach and that insanity, my fellow Americans. There is a better way to go, and I am telling you that way, and it is to have faith in the plan that gives value and purpose to the human spirit, and we grow. That's right, we grow. Recently, our President Trump, and he just had to make efforts to bring the value of the US dollar down. And just think about that. In order to deal with the US trade war with China, we will do what we must, including to devalue our own dollar. And if it benefits us to do that, and it makes sense to do that from a national security standpoint, you better believe that's exactly what will get done, because that's what the people in power will make sure happens if they feel that's what needs to go. And so therefore we can all but assume that's exactly what's going down. They have devalued the American US dollar, and the consumer, of course, is the one who feels that we didn't get anything for that. We should have gotten something for that. When I get into office, should I so have that honorable charge and duty to keep, I will print money as we did when we bailed out the banks. We will bail out the American people, and we will instill a great new value in them people. We will not destroy our currency. Instead, we will save our republic, and we will grow our country, and we will take off like never before. My fellow Americans, you have faith in this candidacy. You get behind this candidacy. You help this candidacy, and we grow together, and we do something special, and we unite this country, and we do the hard work of our parents before us. We finish that hard work, and we create a future and a life in our lifetimes, one that we can all say it's a life worth living, that it's happiness. God bless you. Take care. I am Keith Landy, your happy healer for President of the United States. We'll talk soon.